There, welcome back to the Fix It Fox channel. My name is Rob Fox. In today's video, we're going to be replacing a window screen. As you can see, this is a very large screen for a front bay window. It's kind of a tricky job, so I'm looking forward to being able to help you figure out how to do it yourself. Or if you're here just to watch a project get started and finished, you're at the right place. So grab your tools if you're working with me and let's get to work. All right, so if you're fortunate enough, like I am, to have a pre-existing screen, then you can use it to find your measurements. If you don't have a pre-existing screen, then you're gonna have to measure the frame of the window and get your measurements that way. Now, what I did notice when I took this out, it was extremely difficult to take out because it seemed to be about 1/4 of an inch too wide. So I'm not going to make my screen the exact dimensions as this one because I want people to be able to get the screen in and out of the window more easily than I did. This screen was bent, which is why the homeowner has asked me to replace it. And I imagine it was bent because somebody was probably trying to take it out of the frame, and because it was just a little too wide for the frame, it ended up getting bent. So let me show you how to build an entire new screen and then screen frame and then add the screen to it. First thing you want to do is go to your local hardware store and pick up a kit like this. It's a build a screen kit, and because this is a little under 60 inches long, I bought the largest one that they have. They go down to about this size, I believe, about 3 foot or maybe 2.5 foot. So different size kits based on the type of window or size of window that you want to be working on. But this is the one that we'll need. And what's great about this is not only does it come with the aluminum channels, but it also has what's called the spline on the inside. This spline holds the screen material into the channel of the frame, and then these connect your pieces at right angles, so they go like this, and they fit into the ends of the frame. And then here's a springy clip thing that helps the window stay in the window frame when it's windy. And then finally, here's some little black tabs that you can use to pull your screen out of the window when and if you ever need to take the screen out. All right, we're ready to start putting the frame together. I've got all the materials laid out here that were in the package I just showed you. And I've taken my measurements. The height measurement is 58 1/8 inch. 58 1/8 inch. So it's almost the full stick. Oh. Let's put the lock on the tape measure. But to make up for the length of the elbows, we have to subtract 1.5 inches from our measurement. And so 58 1/8 after taking off 1.5 inches becomes 57 5/8. So let's just make a mark at 57 5/8 inch. I like to use a knife because it provides such a slim line. You know exactly where to cut. If I used a Sharpie, it would be wide and fat, and I wouldn't know exactly where I was supposed to cut. So we need 2 lengths of this frame to be cut at 57 1/8. Sorry, 57 5/8 right here. Okay, now for the width of our frame, the smaller number, I measured it at 28 5/8. However, we need to take off the half an inch. So that knocks it down to 27 inches. and 1/8 right here. So we'll do another one there. 27 and 1/8 right here. Okay, and now we will cut the frames. All right, I moved outside because I'm gonna have metal shards being thrown into the air, and I don't want those shards to be on the floor on the inside where somebody could step on and hurt themselves. And I've also got my safety glasses on. So if you're doing this job, obviously you want to, and you don't wear glasses normally, make sure you wear safety glasses. You've only got 2 pair of eyes for your, or 1 pair of eyes and 2 eyes separately for your entire life. So protect them. What we're going to do is make our cuts at the lines that are measured on the inside. What I'm using here is a grinder with a cutoff blade on it, metal cutoff blade. If you don't happen to have this tool and you just have a hacksaw, you can put this in the hacksaw frame and cut it easily with a hacksaw blade. But we'll do it the fast way today. You want to be careful if you're working on a hard surface like this, because you don't want to scratch up the nice side of your frames. It's probably best if you use something soft, a soft cloth or drop cloth or something underneath, but I'm just going to be super careful and try not to scratch the back of these. Okay, what I was doing there is called deburring. When you cut metal, it often leaves sharp edges, and so if you use a file, if you don't have a grinder like this, you can just file the ends so that it becomes smooth and not jagged and nobody gets hurt, or you can use your grinding blade like I did. Let's go back inside and put this together and then get the screen on. Okay, we're back inside and we've got our frame pieces cut. Now the first thing you want to do is pull the spline out of the channel, and it's in there kind of tight, so I often use my knife to just kind of poke it and pull it up. And we'll set that aside and save it for later. We'll do that to all 4. Okay, and then the next step is we want to start using the corner pieces that came with the kit to put it together. You always want the channel on the inside of the frame. All right, now this next part is, I wouldn't say tricky, but you want to remember that one of your sides needs to have these little spring clips. And so what we do first is just slide them in the end as such, and on the other side as such. And now we can attach it to the frame. It gets a little tight now that you've got another piece of metal in there, but just press a little harder and you'll be fine. One more to go. There we have it. Okay, well, we're back outside because some of you might have even caught this when you're watching it. I ended up putting the frame into the window to try and dry fit it, and I realized it's way too long, way too tall. So I redid my calculations and I realized that when I took, I think it was 58 and an eighth, and I subtracted an inch and a half, I came up with 57 and 5/8. It should have been 56 and 5/8. So I remeasured and I'm ready to cut again, and hopefully this time we'll get the right size frame. All right, let's try this again. Okay, now we're gonna dry fit this. We're gonna try and install it before putting the screen into the frame, just to make sure everything fits properly. And look at that. Perfect fit right around. Now, what you may have noticed is that the little silver clips I mentioned earlier are not actually in the frame any longer. That's because, and I'll take this out to show you, the first time I did this off camera, I realized that this window came with clips already installed, and so we're just going to use those, and they help force the frame into the channel, and when it gets windy the frame doesn't rattle around or poke out. So we're going to use those and get rid of the ones I mentioned earlier. Let's work on getting the screen into the frame now. All right, this step involves a few new materials. We got our screen, fiberglass screen, and I guess this is called a spline inserting tool. I'm not exactly sure what the name is, but it's definitely a screening tool, so we'll use this in a second. Now, here's a pro tip for you. If you've ever done a large window like this and you've ever rescreened a large window frame, you probably invariably came up with a screen that bowed like this. And that's because when you lay the screen on and you roll the spline into the channel, there's a tightening effect that occurs. And to avoid that, what you can do is use the handy old duct tape and tape down your frame to the floor so that it doesn't move when you're putting the screen on, and doesn't begin to change the size or alter the size of the frame. So just rip off a good sized length of duct tape for each of the long sides. And then just tape it down to the floor. We'll do the same thing on the other side. There, now it's nice and tight, and we don't have to worry about the frame changing size, changing dimensions, flexing when we put our screen on. All right, so we got the screen laid out over top of the frame. And I've got my screen spline tool and the spline that we removed earlier from inside the frame pieces. And now we will put them into the channel. And it's as simple as just laying it in the channel and then running your tool inside the channel as well. All the way from one end to the other. Now, I don't know exactly why this happens. If any of you are physicists, leave a comment in the down below. But when you begin to use the tool and stretch the spline out, it grows longer. And so what used to fit in there now becomes longer, and you have to cut it off when you get to the end. Go figure. But let's grab another piece and continue on. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to put the clips in at the bottom. These help you to pull the screen out of the window frame when you want to. So we need to insert those down at the bottom of the window. At the bottom of the window screen, that is. And let me get over here. And you just do the same thing, just kind of press them into the channel. And you're good to go. Look at that. The rubber spline expanded on me again. Okay. Do yourself a favor in this next step and make sure that you have a sharp blade in your knife. I prefer to use a razor blade knife, and if you have a nice sharp knife, there's way fewer chances of making a mistake when you're cutting the screen and cutting into the screen and having to do the whole job all over again. When you have a sharp blade, it makes the cutting so much easier. So I'll just start at one end, and you just put the knife right next to the spline and draw it down. So you're just running the knife on top of the spline. And cutting through it. You see how easy it is for your knife to slip? So you do need to be careful as you're doing this, and always cut away, don't cut into your frame, cut away from the frame. Okay, now we can remove the duct tape. And go and install our new frame into the window. Alright, well, there's another successful job completed. We've got a beautiful new screen installed in the window now. It's going to provide bug-free living for many years to come. Thanks again for joining me on this project today. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. Click the bell if you want to get notified when my videos come out. I should have a video coming out about once a week. I really appreciate all your support. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you on the next one.